The snack that smiles back. You guys ever noticed how some of them do not be smiling? Welcome back to my quest to make a tutorial on every indie subgenre in the known universe. Today we have a lo-fi indie. Indie lo-fi. Lo-fi indie. Lo-fi hip-hop beats to chill and study to. Lo-fi indie. It's kind of exactly like regular indie rock, but lo-fi. It means low fidelity, which is a fancy way of saying something sounds like not good. It sounds not very good. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to have is definitely an electric guitar, and obviously a computer and digital audio workstation as well. Today I'm going to be using FL Studio. Whatever DAW you use will work perfectly fine too. Some optional things that I'll be using here today are bass guitar and drums. If you do happen to have either of those, feel free to use them along with me here today, but I did not have either for a really long time, so I can tell you firsthand, you're only really going to need guitar. We can pretty much always recreate drums or bass with one-shot samples or plugins. Lo-fi indie is a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times slower and more chill and laid back than other lo-fi type genres. So the first thing we're going to start off with here is guitar. I'm going to record with electric, but I'm going to show you on acoustic so you can actually hear it better. What we want to do when we're coming up with a chord progression is use a lot of 7th chords. You can also get fancy and add in some 9ths or 11ths or whatever other fancy chords you want, but 7th chords usually lend themselves really well to indie type genres. A few other things you can try are using some diminished or dominant chords as kind of like passing chords. You can also try to switch out one of the chords in your key for its opposite, so if it's a major, make it a minor and vice versa. The whole vibe of any indie genre is like you're making the music in your basement. You don't really know all that much about theory or the technicalities or anything, so break the rules and, you know, just have fun with it, make something that sounds good. I think I'm gonna go with kind of a slow strumming pattern, something like this. I think that's gonna go really well with the whole laid back, chill, lo-fi kind of feel. Let's record. I recorded 2 takes of that bad boy, basically so I could double track it, panning one to the left and one to the right so it'll sound fuller and better. Now what I'm going to do is actually take a page out of one of my absolute favorite artists of all time's book, Caspian. In some of his songs he does this thing where he'll just play like one note over and over and over a chord, just like... So that's exactly what I'm going to do right here. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is record like a normal lead that's a little bit more complex than just, 4 notes. But it's still not going to be anything crazy. We're not doing any... Nothing like that. One thing to keep in mind is that this is supposed to be very indie and lo-fi, so don't be worried about getting like perfect takes for everything. Honestly, if you mess up here and there or get a couple like squeaky little notes, that's fine. That's going to add even more to the lo-fi effect. Now, drums. I'm going to record some drums. If you want to see my drum recording process in FL Studio, you can check out this video up here for how to do that. But I'm just going to go with a really simple drum recording setup. I'm not even going to mic up the toms or anything. It's just going to be like boom, boom, ch, boom, 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 ch. That's pretty much the pattern I'm going to go with. I don't want this to be too complicated because this is lo-fi indie. This is not like show off my chops genre. I don't even have chops anyways. I suck at playing drums. For the drum microphone setup, we have kick mic down here, snare top and snare bottom, and then we have this overhead right up here. The only reason I'm even using the overhead is just to mix in a little bit of the hi-hats. Alright, so the drums are pretty much done. I recorded one pattern that's like this. And then another one that's halftime like this. So now I can use those throughout different points in the beat to, give it some more energy or bring down the energy. I don't usually like to spend a lot of time talking about mixing because we're not mixing nerds over here, we're beat making nerds. But I'll show you how I mix my drums on pretty much every track that I do. First thing I do is put a little reverb on here. True Verb is an amazing reverb. It sounds super realistic. Then I put a little compression on it, and then I use this DBX 160, which is absolutely my favorite drum compressor. I don't even really use a whole lot of compression at all. I just use this output gain, and it just makes it sound so nice and vintage. Then I also use this little pull Pultec EQ simulator thing. I just boost the kick a little bit and take out some of the high end. Then finally, got to top it off with the Kramer tape. And for something lo-fi like this, you can actually take this speed knob and put it to 7.5. So yeah, anytime you're hearing drums that I recorded on any track of mine, this is how I mixed them. All these plugins that I use will be linked down in the description below if you want to go check them out. So as you can see, now we have the drums dragged into the project file. But if you don't have a drum set, never fear, because you can do the same thing with MIDI drums as well. I'm going to use a few samples from my vintage drum kit, which has a lot of live vintage sounding drums in it. There'll be a link in the description below if you want to go check it out. Essentially, we can just make the same pattern here. Boom, 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 boom. Two-step hi-hats, just right-click and press 2 on your keyboard, and then just put an open hat here, and we got the same drum pattern. And this right here gets the job done just fine. But if you want to take it to another level, you can grab a drum loop from my super cool indie drum pack, which has 40 live recorded drum loops that are perfect for all types of indie genres and anything else you want to use live drums for. All these drum loops are absolutely perfect for lo-fi indie, so definitely go check it out if you need some drum loops. But now we're going to record some bass guitar. As far as bass guitar goes, you can use a plugin like Ample Bass or just use bass one-shots if you want. It doesn't really matter a whole lot because obviously this is going to be very lo-fi, so we don't have to get a super accurate bass sound as long as it sounds somewhat accurate. And I think I'm actually going to record 2 separate bass lines, one for the halftime drums and one for the regular drums. So we got the bass. Now I'm going to record a little shaker here. Alright, so right now I'm going to pull out the electric guitar once again and just record some simple strums. We're just going to take the chords from the main chord progression and just strum each one of them one time. Once we layer this in with chorus and reverb on it and everything, it's going to make everything sound a lot fuller and just way better. That part was easy enough. The majority of that is in the mixing. But right now I'm actually going to record a little acoustic guitar layer. It's just going to be the same chords as the main chord progression, of course. If you have an acoustic guitar, that's great, but if not, that's fine too. So I think everything sounds really good so far. This is all unmixed and untime stretched and everything. There's pretty much only a couple other things that I want to add. One of those things being some sort of just little pad sound or synth sound of some kind. If you're going to put synths in here, you want them to just be really simple and just kind of add some sort of tiny little counter melody or just add some sort of layer to the chords. I think I'm just going to grab something from Serum. Literally just something like this would be fine. And then I am also going to add a little guitar solo. I wouldn't really call it a proper solo, but I'm just going to kind of mess around for like 16 bars, and that'll be our solo. Alright, so at this point, we've pretty much recorded every instrumental thing that we're going to need for this beat. However, a lot of that lo-fi effect and vibe is going to lie within the mixing process. So with all of our instruments and on our master, we're going to be doing some lo-fi type effects. We're going to be doing some filters, some tape emulation, some little saturation and stuff like that. So essentially what we could do to save ourselves some time is take the beat as it is like this and just go to the master track and add some sort of tape emulation or like RC20 or something like that. Let's just put Kramer tape on here for now. And we're going to do that same thing where we set it to 7.5 speed and then turn up the flux a little bit and the wow, flutter, and noise. Already you can hear a huge difference. And we can go even further with this if we want to put on like some RC20 or something. This is going to really mess it up and make it very lo-fi. But as you can hear, it does sound really cool. It would feel very wrong to do so, but we could honestly just export this as it is, call it a day, and that's our beat right there. The mixing for these beats is supposed to be not very good. It's called lo-fi indie for a reason, but obviously some basic leveling and stuff like that is going to go a long way. And obviously there's other little small supplemental stuff we can add as well. For example, one thing I do on pretty much all of my guitars, assign them each to a mixer track if I did double tracking, pan one to the left, one to the right, and now route these to a different mixer track. And on this mixer track, we're going to pull up CLA guitars, stereo. And then I have a little preset that looks like this. A lot of times I'll turn down the delay or sometimes turn it off. And then this pitch thing, we'll just turn this off. And the reamp is set to clean. And now it'll sound like this. What we can also do is add a chorus before or after this, usually before I like to do. And the chorus effect is going to give it that super indie feel. Now we got some indie guitars going on. So for the guitars, we got the indie. Now we need the lo-fi. We're just going to straight up do a little bandpass filter type thing. There we go. We got the lo-fi. To be honest, I use that CLA guitar preset on almost all of my guitars. I'll leave a link in the description to CLA Guitars 2, one of my favorite plugins ever. With all the other guitars in the track except for the acoustic, we're going to do basically the same process. Some of them might have reverb or delay or something like that, but pretty much it all stems from that CLA guitars. And then for the acoustic guitar, we'll just use CLA Unplugged, which is kind of like the equivalent for acoustic instruments. But yeah, honestly, I think that is pretty much going to do it for me in this one here today. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this one here today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for tuning in and learning how to make a little lo-fi indie with me here today. All my social media and drum kits and beats and everything will be down in the description below. Go check that stuff out if you'd like to do so, and I will see you guys next time.